Right, folks, so we finally made it to Soulrender. I did say that Soulrender is a bit of an interesting one, so we've got a little bit to talk about here. And we'll get into that in just a moment. But again, please remember that all these videos for these guides were all done in one raid night. And if some of you are wondering why I'm still dressed in the green t-shirt, it's because they were all reviewed and recorded in the same night as well. I am, by the time you guys are watching this, I am away and I won't be returning until the 1st of September to resume duties. So it means no streams, unfortunately, in the meantime as well. I will put a channel trailer up for that on Twitch, so don't you worry too much about that. But anyway, on to Soulrender then. There are two particular trails of thought here, but we'll get the gameplay rolling. The two things being whether or not you have mass grips or not. If you don't have mass grips, my recommendation as a paladin is to burst immediately. You can see here that I am holding it, and that is because we have a Blood Death Knight, which is fantastic. And you can see that my DPS is, I'm 5.4k, we've got Bloodlust, I've held all my cooldowns, and that's because the ads spawn about 30 seconds into the fight. And me holding them will become relevant in a moment. So the other couple of mechanics that you need to worry about for this, aside from him summoning ads, is you can see that the room is split into 4 segments. Now, for any of you older raiders might recognize Hagen's safety dance. 3 parts of the room will be flooded up with red anima, and you then need to stand in the non-contaminated area, the clear bit. And there is a point during the fight, which is basically like the safety dance, where it will transition to be throughout. Of course, here you can see that 3 of the red area, or 3 of the areas, are now red, and progressing closer to the center of the room. You don't want to stand in it, it's a considerable amount of damage. These brands, you don't need to worry too much about. They are primarily something to do with the ads. You put them under the ads, and the ads take increased damage. Which is why if you have something like a Blood Death Knight, Retribution Paladin is absolutely fantastic for this fight. Because we can hold our cooldowns, get both brands under all of them, and then blow everything up. You'll see that I achieve it later on in the film, or later on in this video, much, much faster. So, yeah, the other part of it is you can see the chain segment that separates each bit. During the encounter, things will spawn to our left here that you need to pick up and run across the room, breaking chains. And generally that is left to high mobility classes. So your Warlock Gateways are sometimes used, your Blinks, your Dashes, your Venthia abilities. Now, this is the Tormented Eruptions, which is the safety dance. So you can see that what we call Zone 4 is free. Now Zone 3, so we've got to hop into that. Then I believe it'll go 2, then 1, but sometimes this isn't always the case. And then once we go into this 4th one, we still have another zone that we need to get to. And this is usually once you get to the edge, it will go all the way up to the across to the other edge. Unfortunately, a lot of people weren't paying attention and did die as a result. It's very important that you avoid these red zones. Now, as a progression Retribution Paladin, and it's not something I've mentioned in the other guides, but if there are more than one, or if there are more than just you as the Paladin in the group, always run Retribution Aura. Let the other Paladin, whether it be Holy or Prot, run Devotion. The reason for this is because if you're progressing and people die, you will get a damage increase. Now, you can see that both brands are up. I Final Reckoning, and we just go to town. We have wings up, we have all our cooldowns, and all of a sudden I am pulling well ahead of everybody else. And that's just because I am utilizing our ability, because remember, a lot of our damage is front-loaded. So while those 4 mobs were alive, I can funnel damage into the boss while still doing a considerable amount of damage to them. Now, Zone 2's free here, so we run. Unfortunately, I took a hit there by standing in these blue bits. Those blue or white-ish swirling circles just do a lot of damage. They don't have any secondary effects to them, so you could use Shield of Vengeance or Divine Shield if you really want to. You can see here that the chains are being picked up and being spread out by people. Again, you could be called to do it by your guild, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. Now, final set of ads are spawned, and our 1 minute tie up fantastically with this. Unfortunately, we didn't get a grip this time and no knockbacks, so our amount of damage was neutered slightly, but not detrimental. What we could have done in that situation is we could have hit Divine Shield, because we did have our immunity up, and we could have aggressively just tanked that stage while still doing damage to the agonizers, but we were playing it safe. You can see that the Affliction Warlock and I are pretty much vying for dominance here. Both of us are kind of dealing with the ads. It's become our non-de facto job, this pull. And it was something that was discussed during the log review for this week. Pretty much holding my own. But you can see the cooldowns are about to come back up after this safety dance, so we're just getting ready to use them for a final time. So pretty much as soon as they came off cooldown, we used them. And the call was to ignore the ads that are about to spawn and just blow them up. So that's what we did. And there you have it. You pretty much saw what we can do when we're allowed to use the ads. You can see what is essentially the logging pass. And I just beat our Affliction Warlock out there. But if you don't have a Blood Death Knight or a Vengeance Demon Hunter, something with a mass grip, depending on how good your group is in terms of its knockbacks, like how many shamans you have, priests, druids, you might be able to get away with it. Even like a couple of you might have a Windwalker monk that runs Ring of Peace. You may be able to do it, but even then, unless everyone is very fast and very coordinated with your knockbacks to enable you to maximize the use of things like Final Reckoning on those ads with the brands, I would just focus on using your cooldowns as soon as they come off and just prioritizing single target damage. Something that's entirely up to your raid comp. If you, for this boss particularly, if you want me to have a look at your raid logs or whatever when I'm home in September, I will happily try and go through some of them with you, and we can discuss when the best time to use your cooldowns would be based on your raid setup. But yeah, that was Soulrender. Hopefully you guys liked it, and I will catch you in the next one when we cover Painsmith. Oh, what a fun boss he is. I'll see you then, guys. Take care.